Hi, welcome to the Gamesplainer. I'm Jeff the Gamesplainer, and today I'm gamesplaining Viticulture Essential Edition. Viticulture Essential Edition is a 1 to 6 player game that plays in, according to the box, 45 to 90 minutes. And you know what, that's actually fairly accurate according to the games that I've had. The Essential Edition has been redesigned by Jamie Stegmaier and the team over at Stonemaier Games. I find that I'm really enjoying the Stonemaier games. A lot of the games that I'm playing, a lot of the games that I am coming back to time and again are these Stonemaier games. I can't get enough of these, so I'm going to go out on a limb. I may have said this before, but anything that comes from Stonemaier, just get it. You're going to like it. Assuming you like the games that I like, of course. So, in viticulture, the whole idea is you've got a vineyard that you're working on, and it's the turns are split into, or should I say the rounds are split into years. Each year is split into the 4 seasons, and there's 2 main seasons, summer and winter, that we need to deal with. The other 2 in-between seasons are really quick, just manoeuvring stuff around. And the genius of this game is that you have only a certain number of workers, as with pretty much every worker placement game, that you can place, but you need to work out how many of them you're going to use in summer, because they're not going to be available to you in the winter months. So thinking ahead enough to be able to know which ones to use where, and which ones to hold back, and there's that little tension of do I hold this back, but there's only one space in the winter I can use, but someone else can take it. Now the other beautiful thing about this that kind of lives over the top of the other worker placement games that I've played is they've got this thing called the Grand Worker, which is a slightly larger meeple that he can go on any space that someone else is already at. If there's a space that's full that you're not able to send any more workers to, he can still go there. You can still do it. So if you hold him back, all is not lost, I guess is what I'm trying to get to. I really like that, because that's kind of one of the things that I know my wife really frustrates her about this type of game, where there's one space that she desperately needs to use, and quite often, without even realising it, because I don't play that way, I'll just go, oh yeah, I want to use that, and I'll do it, and suddenly her entire turn that she's been building up on her head for the last couple of minutes is gone out the window. She hates when I do that, which is fair enough, because she takes this personal attack that I'm stopping you from doing what you need to do. I never think of it that way. I just go, oh, that's a good spot, I'll use that, and then she's like, so this piece allows her now to go and use that space still, assuming she's held on to that piece and hasn't used it somewhere else. Why Essential Edition? Well, Viticulture Essential Edition has taken the original Viticulture and the Tuscany expansion and taken the bits out of this that people are gone, I'm not ever playing without those, and put them in the same box. There is still an Essential Edition Tuscany expansion. I haven't got that yet. I'm looking forward to getting that and seeing what it adds to the game. I've never actually played original Viticulture, but what I understand is the Essential Edition adds in an asymmetric starting group, I guess, of resources or cards or different things you can start with. It has a question mark on if you're going to start with money or a building usually, and gives everyone a slightly different number of different cards as well. They're called the Mama and Papa cards. They're pretty good. They make a nice little change, so not everyone's starting on this even playing field. The different cards, so the cards that you're going to get are visitors. There's different visitors as well, by the way. Summer and winter visitors, which obviously can only be used in their particular halves of the game. The other cards you have are the grape cards and the shipment cards, I guess. I can't remember the exact names of them, but green ones and purple ones. So if you've got particular green ones, that's going to drive you a certain direction with how you're going to plant your vineyards. If you've got certain purple ones, that's going to drive you a different direction for which types of grapes you're going to be trying to plant, so that you can fulfill these orders at the end of the game. This game starts super tight. As with any really, really good worker placement game, no one moves on that point track, at least not by more than 1 point or 2 points. You can move backwards. So the points track starts at -5. Everyone starts on 0, but you've got this space you can move backwards to. The points tracker only goes up to, I think it's 25 is the top of the points track. You'll see it in the video if I'm wrong. I'm just going off the top of my head. and as soon as someone crosses over the 20 points mark, that indicates the end of the game. So we finish that year, game ends, whoever's got the highest points wins. Nice and straightforward. That's not a heap of points. When you've been playing games like, where is it? Russian Railroad, where you'll be pulling in 50, 60 points in a round by the end of the game. Or games like that where there's this huge points everywhere, points. This one's just super tight. There's a few points here, a few points there. But what happens is you'll go through rounds and rounds and rounds and rounds and rounds of no points, no points, no points, no points, and then suddenly someone starts moving. And then usually within about 3 or 4 turns, the game's going to be over. Yeah. The building the engine of your vineyard to be able to gain those points is really where this game's at. I always kind of get to the end of these games and go, oh, I just want 1 or 2 more points, 1 or 2 more games so that I can see how my engine has worked, how well my engine is working against you. Your engine's working great, but mine's working great too. I want a couple more turns. And that's kind of the beauty of these games. I really like that. I like finishing before I want to be finished. You don't need to play any more turns. You've worked out your engine. You've worked it out well. Whoever's engine works the best, quickest, they're going to win. There's a theory that one of the players I played with, who had only played the original version, had, that you could actually play this game without planting any vineyards. I haven't seen it play out yet. He started and he was playing, and then he kind of relented and started playing some vineyards, because majority of the points come from these fulfillment cards. So when you plant your grapes, you pick your grapes, you turn your grapes into wine in the cellar, then you sell your grapes from the cellar. That's where you get some income. That's where you get some points. The income from that becomes residual income, which you're going to gain every turn from that point on. So that's a really good way to get extra monies in. But that's where the majority of your points are. The harder the grape is, or the more refinement the grape's going to take to get to the wine, so a really high quality wine, that's obviously going to get you more points. There are other points dotted around the board. So there's buildings that are going to give you points every time you do something. So for example, the windmill, little building, or mill I think it's called, that will give you points every time you plant grapes in your fields. There's another one which is the tasting room, which will give you a point every time you do the place a piece of the movement that will give you income. So it's basically giving a tour of your vineyard. If you've got wines to be tasted in the cellar, you get a point. So there's ways to kind of gradually move up. The beginning of the game, you choose your player order, very similar to Fresco. Where you choose, in Fresco you're choosing what order you're going to wake up. In Viticulture, you're choosing what order you're going to play. So if you choose to be the very first player for the year, you're not going to get any bonuses, but there's bonuses all the way down. The bottom bonus is an extra worker. One of the bonus points is a point. You could theoretically take that every time, every round, and just get 1 point, 1 point, 1 point. The other spot that that there's some really good points that you can get without really needing a vineyard is on the visitor cards. They have this beautiful mechanism in them where some of the cards will say you can plant a vineyard for free. In fact, anyone can plant a vineyard for free, but any other player who takes up that offer will give you points. Sometimes taking up that offer will minus them points. It's pretty much the same thing. But by manipulating those cards, it's actually possible to get across the line without doing what the game intends. It's a theory, it's a thought. I haven't seen it play out. I would be very, very interested to see if anyone has played that way and managed to actually win the game doing that. I'm not convinced, but, you know, it's a way around the game. The other things that are slightly different with the Essential Edition is that the fields that you're planting your grapes in, you can sell them for money. And at a later stage, you can buy the field back if you wish to plant it out. So that's another way you can get some really good money. And the other one is the thing that Stonemaier Games are really coming to the party with and really getting totally on top of. It's what they've started calling the Ultima, or the single-player solo version. There's a deck of cards that run the other player. I haven't played it, but I see it's there. It's the same as in Scythe. Those two are the main main ones where I find it, but all of these Stonemaier games that are coming through, they've got this solo playing version that works really well. I really like that is there, that's there as an option. I'm personally not someone who will normally play solo. I might play one solo game of a game to get my head around it, but it's not something that I do naturally. I play games because I want to play against other people or with other people. I want to sit across a table from someone and actually physically interact with them. This is why I love board games. But I know that sometimes I really want to play a game and no one's going to play with me. The Automa, fantastic. I really love that that's in there. The only negatives I've got on Viticulture is that some of the meeples look really similar, or some of the building little structures look really super similar to other ones, and that's just my OCD. I don't like putting the wrong piece on the wrong spot, and I'll sit there for ages going, oh, which one's that? Is that the small cellar or large cellar? Is that the cottage? I'm not sure. I think I've worked out which one's which, and you'll see in the videos that I've pointed out which one I think is which, and as I say in the first video, if I get it wrong, please correct me. But that's the only little intricacy, and the ground worker at a glance, if he's not standing next to one of the regular workers, could look like a regular worker. Yes, there are differences on them, but there's some super similar things about them. But that's just me being a little, little finicky in the head. The rules are written very straightforward. It's quite easy to find what you need. As with all the Stonemaier games, they understand how we need to read rule books. So look, I really like this game. I would suggest that it should be a standard part of anyone's collection. Anyone who likes worker placement games and resource management games anyway. I'm a big fan of Viticulture. I've managed to get this to the table a couple of times in the last few weeks, and I plan on trying to push it to the table as often as possible. I think it's very accessible to players who aren't necessarily really heavy players. It's not a super heavy game, and it plays relatively quickly. So yeah, it's a good game. It's fun. It's got a lot going for it. There's a bit of meat on the bones. Please go ahead and watch the first two videos. In the first video, it's just literally talking through the overarching gameplay. I don't go into any of the little spots of the worker placement. All the writing is on there. Video 2 is going into those spots and kind of explaining those writing a little bit more, but it's fairly straightforward. If you understand worker placement games, you'll understand this game in the way that it's laid out. And it's a beautiful artwork. It's a beautiful game. There's some beautiful sculpting on the buildings. I'll leave that there. Go on, watch the videos, watch my playthrough. I hope you enjoy it. If you've got any comments or suggestions, please write them below. Subscribe to my videos to keep up to date with the games that I'm gamesplaining. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter to see what games I'm playing. I'm trying to play as many games as I can this year. I think I'm up to almost 250 at the moment. So we're at the beginning of June, so I'm really driving to cross over that 500 mark by the end of the year. So please support that and like it whenever I get games up there, and I hope that you can do something similar and push yourself to play more games. I should hold that phrase till I finish saying what I'm saying. If you've got any games that you wish to be gamesplained, shoot me an email at thegamesplainer@gmail.com. And until next time, enjoy gaming.